улице, но хотел подойти. Сегодня у нас выступает, насколько я понимаю, Кемаль Акёз, да?
No, Emre Dogан. Kemal is also here, my co-author. Emre Dogan.
Эмре Доган?
Right.
Очень приятно.
Yeah.
Но
Нет.
они расскажут про поиск на неэксклюзивных онлайн-платформ для матчингов, то есть для встреч или там заключения каких-то взаимных этих прав. Но надо сказать, что существует такая довольно известная школа, именно турецкая, которая изучает проблемы с матчингом. Ну и вот в данном случае 3 представителя этой школы нам расскажут про вот то, что объявлено. Пожалуйста.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Well, we are very happy to be here. And this is a project we started very long ago with Kывanch. Is it everybody can hear? Is it okay? Okay.
Какой-то глухой звук, плохо, неотчетлив очень. Подрегулировать нельзя звук.
Поближе, даже поближе, уже поближе. Okay. Now, is it better? In the Zoom. Is it better? Can people hear in the Zoom? I don't know. Can you ask if they can hear? It's better. It's better. It's better. Okay.
Thank you.
So, thank you again very much for the invitation. We are very happy to be here presenting this work. And, well, this is a very, I don't know, just before COVID we started. And, well, we had this idea of understanding how online matching platform works. But when we are talking about matching, it's kind of either this marriage-oriented matching platforms or like dating-oriented matching platforms. Like the worldwide known one was Tinder, which was also very common in Russia, and it's not operating in Russia for the last 3 years. There are platforms still operating, like Mumbai is the most popular one. Millions of people are using it. We wanted to understand, we wanted to model it, and we came across one of the papers that started this literature in 2001, and it was about the platform. So I'm giving some spoilers right now. It was about a platform which is a matchmaking platform, which was like designing. So there are people who subscribe, but this platform, seeing the subscribers, immediately say that, okay, you are going to match with this, you are going to match. But so we worked on that for a while and presented it in scientific journals. People found the question interesting, but they wanted us to a little bit generalize the model, but it was hard. Then we became interested in the original problem. Like we want to understand what is happening in these platforms, like Tinder and mentioned, because the platforms are not like, okay, these are people who subscribe, so they are going to match with them. So literally match and contact are different things, right? Match means, okay, I'll give you this people, we are going to date or marry her. That's not what is happening in the platforms are places where people search. So with this idea, we started asking this question, okay, there's a platform like people use very dominantly nowadays, but people also search outside. to the social life that looks like the family connections from few friends, people they meet in the bars and restaurants. So what happens if these two channels work together? That's the question we are asking. And I'm going to elaborate on that now. So, needless to say, nowadays main markets are dominantly intermediated by online matching platforms. I mean, these marriage markets that we are interested in is one example, of course. There are lots of platforms that are intermediating the see the importance of this marriage markets. You can yeah, sure. So to see the importance of these platforms, you can just, you check the revenues of this one umbrella company Mesh Group that owns Tinder.com occupates some other platforms. They own more than 3 billion revenues. Just an example. Tinder, Match.com, Oculus are platforms, right? And Match Group is the umbrella company that owns many platforms. Has many platforms. So it acquired some of them in years. What do you mean by the comparison exactly? So what we are working on is the online matching platforms, and Tinder, for example, is an example. Match.com is an example. Oculus is an example. Match Group is just a company that owns all these. And this is just to give an example how big the market is. It is not theoretically
any other importance here? Still, there's a problem? No, I need to change that. And I can't now. Okay. So, what is a platform? First, we need to understand what we mean by a platform. Well, you can think of platform as either a matchmaker or an environment. A platform provides for search. So it's either a search environment or a matchmaker. And the initial paper we started with, thinking about was the Bloch-and-Ryder paper. So there, they assume the platform is a matchmaking, provides a matchmaking service, which was indeed at those times very, how to say, it represents what a platform did those days more, because it was published 2001 indeed, it's a mistake, but then the paper was there already 1995 or something. So internet was not very common, these services, online platforms were not there. So what is a matchmaking? There are still matchmakers, right, which are not platforms, VIP services. People go, People give their information about themselves, and they tell what they are looking for, what kind of marriage they want, who do they want to marry with, the characteristics. And the other side also tells, then the matchmaking service matches them and say, oh, we have some potential people, look at this. So this was the idea. And there are a few papers that worked on that, and they were assuming ideal partner, which means they were just assuming there were two populations of men and women, but the matchmaker was giving them their stable match, which is the well-known matching where no man or woman blocks this matching. But you can also think of platform as today's platforms, which are search environments. And there are many works on these. But what I give here on the slide are not on platforms, but you can think of them as platforms. So this paper works on single search environments, right? And the first one, McNamara and Collins, was working on more or less, their original question was job search, but the rest of it was about matching markets. And when you think about the matching markets, you can think about the single search environment is this. It is the outside option. It is, in our paper, the outside option. But in general, you can think of it as a combination of whatever, like family connections, work connections, and your other social life connections. A combination of all, you can think of it as one environment, right? And all these papers work on this. And there are also platforms which coexist with traditional values of search. So in India, you know, these family arranged marriages are very important. They are still doing that, but on top of that, I mean, they facilitate it by online platforms, still using similar marriage, I guess, traditions. But the more dominant one is the one we are interested in, is like you can think of it in Russia currently, Mamba, for example. Millions of people are using it, but they also and pay for it, for their services, but also at the same time, they find partners through their social life. So, which gives us this setting where there are two search environments. Accessing one of them is costly, and the other is not, because it is a sunk cost. It is the daily life you are living in, and you don't do anything extra to search for that. And this is a brief results. So, of course, this is the environment that we are working on, but the results are related to the results of similar questions in single search environment, which we extended to two search environments. And the questions usually ask is, what are the equilibrium? What do they look like? Do they exist? And are they unique? Are they multiple? And there are different questions asked. So that is what we are doing. We extend a very well-known block segregation phenomenon that will be, I won't go into details because details will be given by pictures and formal definition later. And we show that a stationary equilibrium exists, and network externalities induces multiplicity in this two search environment, which doesn't exist in the one search environment. And some interesting phenomena where demand might be locally increasing in price and in search frictions, which means that if the platform facilitates the marriage or meeting, right, more, and make it less frictionless, decreases the friction, well, the set of subscribers might decrease.
Each block uses platform and also possibilities, other possibilities, yes?
Right. Other possibilities is combined one outside option, which I will come in a minute, the formal model. So don't worry, I will be more. So before describing the existence of platform, let's talk about the market itself, marriage market, and what happens without the platform. And when the platform is added, what changes? So there's a continuum of men and women of unit size. Each individual has a type in 0 and 1. And the set of men and the set of women are both have separate cumulative distributions, but they are the same distribution. This is just an assumption. Our characterization result definitely extends to it. We didn't solve the existence result for different distributions, but if it, I mean, it is almost very intuitive and almost obvious that it will work there. So just for simplicity, they are the same distribution, come from the same distribution. So every type exists in the market. This is just an assumption to make things easier in the proofs. What happens when a man type X matches a woman of type Y? Man gets Y as the lifetime payoff, while the woman gets X if there is no divorce. We will talk about divorce later. It is possible. And the types are well known in the literature as Pisa's values. So, which means, so this is a preference restriction, which means every man get the same payoff from the woman, for example, of type 0.6, and vice versa.
You mean that a man gets Y if no divorce, yes?
Again?
Like that.
So these are the well-known preferences, and which was introduced in Burdett and Cole's QJ paper. No, the platform paper below and Ryder also used adopt these preferences. Antler and Bahi, a recent platform paper, also used this preference.
Pieces means satisfaction.
Like how satisfying you are. It characterizes your charisma a little bit, right? Right. And everyone, so you have an objective charisma, and everyone gets your charisma if they meet you. That is the idea. So, which tells us that each side not only have the same ordinal preferences over the other side, but the same cardinal preferences over the other side. Having the same ordinal preferences is the dominant assumption in the literature. Almost all the papers working on this question assume that the preferences are ordinally the same, but they could be cardinally different. So, for example, if I'm type X, a man, and there's a woman, well, we can get, I would get XY from my utility, which means our interaction also, my type also affects my utility, right? This is possible. So there are generalization of these preferences, and some papers work on this. I will come to that, try to explain as much as I can. But this is our setup. So obviously there's a unique stable match. So type X matches type X. So type 1, the best guy in the unique stable matching meets and matches with the best woman, and 0.9 woman matches 0.9 guy, and this is the unique stable matching. This is a well-known thing about the setup. So time is continuous, and there's a common discount rate. These are standard. So you evaluate, you discount the utility you get from your partner in the future with the rate R. And at any instant, you can be either matched or unmatched. And marriage status might change over time back and forth, which means, well, if you're unmatched, you are definitely searching. And when you meet and marry someone, you will get some utility from this marriage. And if you divorce, you go back to your unmatched status and continue searching. So this is.
So can you explain why can you be divorced? Because from your point of view, the utility is determined by the pizza's value.
Right.
And
if in case there is no divorce, I told there. So it is. There are papers without divorce, so they just assume that if you match. So this is the simple model. If you match, you get Y forever. I mean, you get Y once, and this is the cumulative, lifetime payoff you get.
Yes.
So in our case, if there was no divorce, that was going to be the case. But there is divorce, and which will induce some, when you match someone, indeed, you will get a match value, which is
But what can be the reason for this divorce?
Well,
suppose Y is equal to 1. Why should this man divorce this woman? Because otherwise he'll match somebody else, and the pizza value will be less, probably.
You're right about 1. This is true. But if it is 0.4, for example, you can get divorce. And the divorce is in our framework, and we get this from framework from the paper by, maybe later we will come to that. I mentioned it earlier. Smith 2006, which is a Journal of Political Economy paper. So this is the first paper which very generalized everything under the setup with a divorce. So
but
I will come to the point. Yes, the question is
what has changed? If he married, why?
Divorce comes as a random shock. So there could be many reasons. There is no micro foundation of divorce. Divorce comes as a random shock. So that is the model. And for example, so stationary equilibrium was assumed in some papers. And in those papers, it was the case that, okay, you are married happily ever after if you match. But when you match, what happens? You are out of the population. The population can change. Then things become very complicated. What do? They just replace you immediately with your copies to keep population stationary. And in those,
but this is not our goal, to keep the population stationary.
Yes, but no, but that is what I'm saying. That is the starting point of the literature. And one of the papers, which is Burdett and Coles, broke this assumption and say that, okay, there are inflows to the population, births. And you can get also, you can die at some point. So there was
not in your model.
Not in our model, but you can die at some point. And when you die, you're suppose don't marry anyone else. So those were his assumptions, and there is no divorce there. So this is one model which gets rid of the stationarity, trying to fix stationarity assumption. The other one, Smith, which generalized all the preferences. So that paper was about Pisa's values only. The other one was about divorces. And indeed, if we don't model it with divorces and we model it with birth and death rates. There is a birth rate. Some people come in, some people come out. Qualitatively, the results will not change. And indeed, there is a new paper, very recent, it is not published yet, 2025. It's forthcoming back in Econometrica, I believe. It is conjoining these everything together. There is divorce, there is birth, there is death. All these are possibilities. But qualitatively, whatever works for one kind of setting works for the other kind of setting. There are rates which satisfy them. If you want to make empirical analysis about the birth rates, death rates, and the divorce rates, well, you need to change the model and choose the proper model. But qualitatively, the equilibrium characterization and its existence doesn't change. So there's a divorce rate which come.
Я понял, но он ссылается на литературу, а вовсе не на, так сказать, в модели этого нет. Если он женится исключительно основываясь на этой привлекательности.
That is...
Получать меньше удовольствия. Оценка должна быть.
Нет, это случайно. Он говорит, это внешний шок, а он не описан. Если его интересует только...
Да? В случае развода я должен получать меньше удовольствия.
Да, этого здесь нет.
А
здесь этого нет.
Этого нет.
Нет, он просто выравнивает поток. Если бы у него не было разводов, то тогда бы у него не получилось стационарного процесса. А ему тоже стационарный процесс.
Indeed, there is no paper yet doing that. And it was in our last paper in the conclusion and remarks that we have the idea of trying to microfound the divorce.
Yes.
And the idea is that we need to go into much more complicated model to make, for it to make sense. So, and get rid of the stationarity assumption, add some learning in the model. So you can, when you meet someone, instead of seeing its type entirely, you can see a potential range of types. And in time you can learn, and your expectation from this range could be higher than its real type, right? And when you learning can be just in time, this interval shrinks. And when you realize that it is less than your expectation, you can divorce. So
yes, but this could be the assumption that there is constant.
Yeah, there is no microfoundation, we know. But yes, so that is one way to model it. That is how we are thinking. But this is the starting point. There is no this extension to two search environments. And what the equilibrium looks like, does it exist? It is not known yet, even with this divorce shock. And so, okay.
You agree that it would be better to assume that if there is a divorce, then my satisfaction should be less than in the case
if you are type 1, yes. And in our model, I haven't seen any. If Kывanç, no, I don't know. Searching, when, for example, divorce could be related to this, right? When you are searching while you are married, right?
But not in this model.
Not in this model.
He retires.
Yes, but I haven't seen any such model yet. That is also another thing. These are possible things.
Has to be stochastic, yeah? The satisfaction has to be stochastic.
Right. If the satisfaction is stochastic and you learn in time. So with learning, there could be some macro foundation in it. And this is one of our plans, but not yet. So this is... so if you're matched, you can receive a random divorce shock by a Poisson divorce process. And if unmatched, you search for a partner. Of course, at any time, there are unmatched people in the society and there are matched people in the society, right? The population distribution is G, and F is just the population of the unmatched, I mean, type distribution. So at any point, I mean, when we are doing analysis, we assume that at any point there are always some unmatched types. And indeed, this is a guess and we verify this later on. So you will see the picture in a minute. So at each instant, each unmatched agent may contact some agent from the other side. And when a man and woman contact each other, they simultaneously decide whether to accept each other as a marriage partner or continue searching. So you can think of the story as this. This is the common story in the entire literature. Instead of just one paper started this very recent paper, this learning in dating, but there is no learning. So the story is this. So you have an idea of ideal contacts for you, ideal matches for you. For example, I am type 0.6 man, and I say, okay, I would be happy to marry a woman between type 0.5 and 1, anything over that. That may be my idea. And then given that idea, when I see someone, I realize that, okay, this is an acceptable partner for me. So, and it is weakly dominant to accept a partner if the value of the match is higher than the value of the search. So in terms of technical kind of equilibrium selection, right? It can be, it will be a little bit old school. I don't know for the youth, what is it nowadays, but you are a woman and you contact Brad Pitt and you don't say that, I'm not going to accept him because I'm sure he's not going to accept me. This is never the case. You don't get shy. You say that I accept you, whatever, but tell me if you accept me. He may or he may not.
So what do you mean by the value of search? The cost of search?
No, the value of search.
Because it's costly, you say. You should.
No,
You should pay in some money. How can you compare this money to?
It is not, currently there is no, this is search outside, without the platform.
Outside.
Without the platform. Just the standard value from the search. So
Is it costly only for platform?
on the platform, it's costly.
Only for
the platform. And well, this comes with a Poisson process also. I mean, the contacts come with a Poisson process. And well, each agent can either be a subscriber to the matching platform or not. We are talking the people, I will come to that, so don't neglect that one. So this is the search outside. And for non-subscribers, contact from any measurable set of types M is a Poisson process with mu0 times the mass of this type, unmatched people, right? The integral just tells me, so M is the set of my, I don't know, the types, pre-specified types. Okay, these are the types. What are the contacts coming from these types? Well, that is the integral gives me the size of these unmatched people from those types. And mu0 is just the matching parameter reflecting the matching technology. So mu0 is very high, means contact is infinite, right? When it goes to infinite, it means that you see everyone every second. And mu0 is 0 means you don't see anyone. So the higher is the less frictions in the search. Then there's a set of subscribers. And we assume that the flow of contacts from the platform and outside are independent. which is consistent with today's kind of search technology and somehow people's search behavior. So consider this story. So if you're using the platform, for example, Mamba, you have an app on the phone and you're searching, right? And if you go to, if you don't use it normally, suppose you're not subscriber, you go to restaurants and bars and I don't know, meet at cafes with friends, go to parks. So this is the outside search. But this is what people really do, right? They go and live their social life. And while doing that, while sitting on the table at a cafe, they also check Tinder or Mamba, whatever. So at the same time, they can be in the place, in their social background, and they can be also searching for the for a mate through the platform. So searching at the platform doesn't exclude you or decrease the possibilities, contacts that you receive from outside. So given that these are independent, you can write, because this is a non-exclusive search platform. That is the critical thing. But indeed, if it was exclusive, we will come at the end. We didn't specifically model this like that because this is more realistic. But if it was exclusive or partly exclusive, our results still hold. But if these are independent, which means if you're a subscriber and your matching set is M, the set of people that you are going to match if you contact, say, then you will receive mu0 times the mass of these people in this society that are unmatched, plus mu s times, which is the flow rate in the coming from the Poisson process in the platform as a subscriber, and M intersection S is the people that are your potential mates in the matching set, but at the same time they are on the platform, right? So it can be that the same person is in the restaurant you are sitting, but it is also in the mobile app you have. You can meet it from both channels. It is possible.
But it is assumed that mu s is larger than mu0.
No.
Otherwise, why should he go there?
Because
to the platform.
It is an additional channel. If the price is low enough, think of it as separable processes, right? It is additive. If they are independent, it's additively separable processes. So I normally receive a process, matches, contacts flow from mu0 times this interval, right? Additionally, I can pay rho, which is a flow price, not a one-time price. As long as you are subscribed, at each instant you pay rho, right? And I can pay this price, and my cost can be this one minus rho times this, right? This is my flow cost. And my flow rate, extra flow rate, additional flow rate from the platform is this. Even if this is much lower than mu0, but if the price is close to 0, well, it's still acceptable for me. I can. So we concentrate on stationary strategies. So for each type X, so because the distributions are the same, we can think of them as a man or a woman. The idea works the same. So when I say a type, it can be just man 0.5 or woman 0.6, whatever. I don't need to talk about which side. For each X, sigma X is a strategy. So what is a strategy? And sigma X, this guy's strategy and all the other strategy is a strategy profile, right? What is a strategy then? Sigma X. It is just a binary choice, subscription decision. It is 0 or 1. 0, I don't subscribe. 1, I subscribe. And AX, it is a measurable set of acceptable types for opposite sex. So I can say, for example, I'm going to, well, the acceptable people for me are from 0.9 to 1, union 0 to 0.1. Of course, this doesn't look reasonable, and in equilibrium, it will not. We will see that it needs to be a threshold. So I will tell that, okay, anyone over 0.4 is acceptable for me. And in equilibrium, these will be the acceptable types, but we do not assume anything yet. So the opportunity set is just the opposite. The people who accept me is the opportunity set. And their intersection.
What A of Y? No.
Y, that's X is acceptable, Y, right, this is Y. The people that accept me. And matching set is, my matching set is the people that I accept and they accept me. So it is the intersection of acceptance and opportunity.
Sorry, but you didn't explain where does the money come from? What is the budget? Do they have infinite amount of money each participant, or how do they pay?
Right.
No constraint.
Right. There are no constraints.
No constraints?
There are no constraints, and
no budget.
No budget, because we are not talking about currently. You're right. There is no budget. We're not talking about income.
What is the sense of role?
And we are not talking about revenue maximization problems or whatever currently. We are talking about just the characteristic of the equilibrium, and the existence of it is the most important part, and we prove the existence for small enough prices, so for a price range.
But so they don't suffer from high prices.
But you can think of it, yeah, they don't suffer from high prices, but if you think of it, because this is you can think of the Pisa's values. This is a charisma value, right?
Yes.
But it's a combination of lots of things, and which could be a composition of education, income, social status, and things like that, which means the higher types could be thought of a more wealthy group, and lower types when you go to lower types.
So do you mean that rho is in terms of Pisa's value?
No, I'm not. I don't.
So you have two currencies, Pisa's and money.
I don't mean that. That is one way to think about it. But you are right. And well,
In any case, it would be interesting to consider income constraints.
Income, yes, in a more general model, it could be considered.
Okay.
But we do not have income constraints. Do you have anything to add?
I might add maybe the following. So you are right. Actually, we have two different, in a sense, monetary values, the Pisa's value and the price. So I guess we can interpret the Pisa's values as kind of a monetary equivalent utilities of being matched with someone.
But so, then when you pay, you diminish your Pisa's value.
No, not necessarily. Pisa's value comes from your partner, basically, right? So you have some utility.
But if you pay, then your value is diminished, no? Is reduced. If you subtract something.
I see. So if your Pisa's, for example, comes from your income, for example, right? By paying this price, your income might actually go down. So we are basically ignoring that income effect here. Right, so we basically just treat that, this price doesn't change. Paying this subscription price doesn't really change the income prospects of a person. So in this sense, it doesn't.
But we assume that it's stable. The Pisa's value is stable. That's your assumption.
Yeah.
Throughout the life. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So this
you cannot pay from it.
Yeah, if there are budget constraints, I mean, as long as, because this is not a general equilibrium model. As long as the price, there is money in your budget enough to pay for the this price, well, it is reasonable. It increases your utility, right? In that sense, like as long as, but if you think about it from a general equilibrium model with lots of other services and things, of course, I mean, that's a much wilder question. But, and you are right in a sense that if the platform is very costly, for example, it's a very high-end platform, right? And well, even if I have the, I may not even have the cash in my pocket. Maybe there is something, even if I have, that is more increasing my utility, but even if I don't have it, pay for the platform, right?
Okay.
For that reason, I'm not subscribing. Otherwise, I could have subscribed, right?
An inflow of money.
Yeah, this could have, yeah, I'm saying that you are right in the sense that if it is a high-end platform, I may not be able to pay for it, and I'm out of the market because I don't have the money. That is right. We don't have it in the model.
Could you explain what is the A of X?
A of X is
It is my choice.
My strategy. I say these people are acceptable for me. So, for example, as a man, I say the woman from 0.5 to 0.7, union 0.9 to 0.1, these two intervals. These are acceptable, the rest is not, right? This is just an acceptance strategy.
So I construct A of X in accordance to my preference, general preference, or no?
It is not my preferences, it is my strategy. That's my strategy choice. Preferences is Pisa's values. My preferences over people is Pisa's values. But when I see someone, I think, should I meet? Because this is a strategic environment, right? In a sense that
What does it mean?
you see someone and you think
acceptable.
Acceptable means if I see this partner, I'm going to marry. I won't go searching back. So there are some people that when I see them, I say that, okay, I'm going to marry you. But I can think that instead of, so for example, I meet 0.5, right? And this is the idea of search, right? I can immediately accept thinking that this is not very bad, or I can say, oh, but the search process is I can see many people because contacts are flowing. I will wait, and maybe I see 0.7 tomorrow, and she accepts me too, then I will accept her. This is much better, right?
But then you mean that A of X, it suffices to give the left end of this interval. It's an interval, and you only need to
give a threshold. In equilibrium, it is a threshold, right?
And otherwise, I can't imagine that you have two intervals, for example.
Yes. But in general, it could be any acceptable set. But in equilibrium, it naturally becomes a threshold. You say that anything above this, I accept. And M is the critical thing. This is the matching set. So this is the people you accept, and at the same time, they accept you. So these are the people that you are going to match, and this is through which you calculate your search and match values. I guess, okay, how much time? 40 minutes. I need to be a little bit faster now. So the unmatched type F is endogenous, determined in the equilibrium. So we will see that through this divorces. Divorce rates are shocks, and people get divorced, and they can come back to the society and continue searching. And then some people are, so what happens is, so there is this outflow of matched agents from unmatched to matched population. Some people, let me go to this part, right? at each moment, there's this population distribution G. I guess some part of it needs to be above for it to be unit mass, but it doesn't matter. So there's this population between 0 and 1, and there is this unmatched population. So this is type A, 0.8. These are the unmatched people. These are the matched people. So, and some people at any instant receive contacts and decide to match and marry. They, from this population, under this red, goes to the matched population, which is G minus F. And there are divorces from this matched population, they go under this unmatched population. So there are two dynamics, right? And for the environment to be stationary, this outflow from one and inflow to the same population should be the same. So, and it should be the same at each, for each type, so that the distribution doesn't change, right? So if 100 people from 0.8, okay, they are continuum infinitely many, but 100 people from 0.8 gets matched and leave this population and go here, then 100 people should come back. So that is the balancedness condition that would guarantee, needs to guarantee stationarity. I mean, that's the only way stationarity is guaranteed. And at each x, not only 0.8, at each x, it should be true. And it should be true for the non-subscriber types, because eventually the types are partitioned into two. Some are subscribed, some are not subscribed. So for non-subscriber types, it should be true. And for subscriber types, this divorce works as the same, but the matching rate is higher. So for these types, you need to concentrate as the flow of the total flow for matching both outside and as a subscriber. So these are the balancedness conditions. And well, you can calculate by these Poisson processes. This is like very well-known and standard in the literature. You can immediately calculate these search values. If you're type X, your matching set, the people who are accepting you and you accept them at the same time are this. So you are waiting for these to drop from the air, right? These contacts. When they do, you immediately get married. So you can write your, calculate your search values. So this is your continuation search value. If you continue search value, this is the expected value you get. So obviously we will come to that in an equilibrium. If somebody comes with a match value, you meet someone that gives you higher than this, you marry. Less than this, you wait and continue searching because this is your expectation from the search. And this is for outsiders, I mean, who searches on the outside. And this is for the search value for a subscriber who searches both outside and inside, because a subscriber can search in both channels. So here, this is the additional value you get by subscribing. This is what we talked about your question. But this is the price you pay. I mean, effectively together with the denominator. But if this is high enough, and this is low enough, you choose to subscribe. It depends on the higher types in your matching set. So there's your decision doesn't only depend on, I mean, whether you subscribe or not doesn't only depend on you, but depends on the people who accept you, because you only match with the people who you accept at the same time who accepts you at the same time, right? So So there is this coordination incentive there.
If I understand correctly, the cost of subscription is fixed in the model, right?
The cost of subscription is a flow cost. At any instant, you pay in a unit interval, time interval, you pay raw.
But for the each participant, it is a fixed the cost of.
Right. It is the same for each participant. There is no.
It can depend on the number of participants.
It can depend. We are not discussing in this paper for several reasons. What is the cost? We are saying that, okay, take any cost. This is whatever row is, you can calculate the search value. How the platform chooses the search value, we don't, price, we don't work on this question.
But actually, everything holds even if rho is equal to 0. For example, you can consider the following situation. You can meet either in a bar or restaurant, or you can meet at your work, for example. And then rho is equal to 0. Right. But you still have two possibilities, and you can sum up those two possibilities also, no?
You can sum up. There are some in this example. So if it is a choice, for example, you are going to this restaurant or that bar. Those are two different platforms, right? And it may depend still on the people's choices. And if all people, it's a coordination game, right? Decide to go to the bar and you accidentally go to the empty restaurant. Then, so calculating this thing as additively like this, the search value, depends on the independence assumption, which works with online platforms. You go somewhere, but your phone is always with you, and people do that. I mean, they sit in a restaurant, they talk to people, at the same time, they quickly check the people on the platform. But the other one is about allocating your time, either this or that. So it may be, if platform is a physical place, this is hard to do. I mean, not very common.
But still, rho can be equal to 0.
You can take rho equal to 0, but the other part of the equality, the other part of the term may not be calculated like that. That could be problematic. Well, this is the match. So, as I told, if there is no divorce, the match value is Y. So this is a lifetime match value, right? And then the flow payoff from matching Y is RY. So if you think about it as the flow payoff, it is RY. But if there is divorce, match value is a convex combination of the pizzas of the partner and the search value. So it is easy to calculate a match value. What does it mean, a match value? So if there is no divorce, it is a lifetime payoff. You marry and you get that payoff, right? You get Y. And you know your search value, expected value from search. So my expected value is 0.5 from search, but I meet someone 0.6. Oh, this is good. Then I will marry, right? But if there is divorce, I cannot compare immediately the search value and the Y, because I can get divorced. So when it is taken into account, I need to compare match value and the search value, because match value is the effective utility that I will get from this match when I also consider the possibilities of the divorce. So match value, you can think of it as the utility that you think that you will receive when you meet someone. So what is a search equilibrium? A search equilibrium, of course, this is a game, right? People are playing a game. Is a strategy profile, sigma, and an unmatched type distribution, which needs to be endogenously defined, right? This is a stationary search equilibrium. Well, a strategist profile immediately induces who you accept, who accepts you, so the matching correspondence. So if I'm a certain type, I know what is the potential matching set I have exactly and how to calculate my search value. This is that, this M. And also some people decide to subscribe and some people decide not to subscribe. And through this, we can calculate the value functions like this. And in an equilibrium, of course, this is a stationary equilibrium, F need to satisfy the balance equations, which means, so if 100 people from one type, specific type, marry and go, 100 people needs to divorce and come. So F needs to be endogenously balanced. And the acceptance decision is optimal. So when I see someone, if I'm a subscriber and I calculate my search value, like match value like this, considering the divorces, when I see some Y, the expected utility I get from this Y, considering the possibility of divorces, is my match value, this thing. And if I don't, I go back to search, and it is this thing. So a person is in my acceptance set if and only if its match value is greater than not marrying her and staying single and continue to search, right? This is, and for non-subscribers, it should also be the same. And the subscription decision is optimal. What does it mean? Given my strategy, suppose I'm a subscriber and I get some search value, expected search value. If I change my strategy to non-subscribing and choose any acceptance set, I shouldn't be able to increase my utility. So under any potential acceptance set that where I don't subscribe, it is worse to not subscribe to my current strategy. Then it's optimal subscription decision. And for non-subscribers, similarly, the value from search when you don't subscribe should be greater than value of your search when you subscribe. This is an extension of the search equilibrium in Smith 2000.
Понятно? Понятно?
Ну, в его логике, да.
А?
В его логике, да, но логика странная немножко. В частности, например, без разводов никаких равновесий вообще не было бы.
Ну, а что тут сказано просто, что распределение вариант баланса. Понятно, да? Ну и теперь оптимальное принять решение по принятию, о согласии, ну, вступить в брак. Ну, тоже понятно. А я поначалу думал, что такое вот этот 0 и единичка, но это решение...
Подписываться или нет?
Потом, подписываться или нет. Стратегия каждого агента состоит из двух частей. Подписываться или нет в эту поисковую платформу. Или... Ну, а вторая часть, это как принимать, что второй части я не очень понимаю, вот это А от X, которая...
A is, who are you going to choose? Like,
Первое, ну, это подписывается или нет, вот он решает, что если я подписчик и откажусь от подписки, то будет только хуже. Ну, вот это примерно subscription decision. Так что более-менее понятно.
Okay.
Правильно понял.
Now we go to characterization of the equilibrium. First, I mean, I will quickly go over this because the time is getting narrow. I need to go to the results. So what we see is there is threshold strategies. As you see in equilibrium, it should be the case. You never say that two distinct intervals, like from 0.0 to 0.1, union 0.9 to 0.9 to 1 is acceptable for me. You just say that, okay, this is the minimal type I'm accepting, and anything over that is acceptable. And value monotonicity, search value is monotonic. If you're a higher type, definitely in equilibrium, your search value is higher. for subscriber higher types. Among non-subscriber higher types also, this is the true. If you're a higher type, independent of if you are a subscriber or not subscriber, in equilibrium, and your search will be greater than mine if your type is higher than me. And acceptance monotonicity, if a type is accepted by type X, for example, if someone is accepted by Kывanç, anybody who has a lower type than her also would be accepted by Kывanç, right? So this is the acceptance monotonicity. This is just characteristics of the equilibrium that help us to characterize the well-known phenomenon. So this is block segregation. This is called the Folk theorem in the literature, because many people assuming stationarity with endogenous stationarity with Pisa's values, and even with a greater set of utility functions, you see this characterization of all the potential equilibria should exhibit this phenomena, block segregation. What do I mean by block segregation? Maybe this is more, so the definition is there. So if the formal definition is easier to read, maybe, but it is very simple that I will go to the next page. So this is what tells us what a block segregation is. You can write it on just a bar. So this is 0, right? This is 1. And there are indeed 2 bars, men and women, but as they are symmetric, you can think about this both for men and women. So suppose this is the bar for men, and there is the same bar for women here. So what happens? Anyone between 1 and 0.345, this is for a specific example that we will cover later, accepts anyone on the other side when they see of the same types. So even if I'm 1, if I see on the other side someone at the type 0.4, I accept it immediately. So similarly, any woman of this block, the same block on the other side, accepts any man if they see someone from this block. So there is this top first block. And this block of people are acceptable for each other. For the second block, these people, of course, accept anything above 0.08. Anything, anyone here accepts anything above this threshold on the other side, on the woman's side, which means they accept the entire thing. But because these people don't accept them, they are not in their matching set. So the matching set of the types in this block of people are the same, is the same as on the other side with this interval. So 0.2 can only match on this side, can only match with people on the other side, someone between 0.345 and 0.008. So people match in blocks. So this is the phenomena itself. And because I have 20 minutes, I will quite quickly go to, so this is how does it extend to our setting? Well, it is not, this is where there is no platform, right? Think about it. There is no platform, one search environment. This is the well-known result. Our result is saying that, well, this phenomena sticks. But a more general block segregation phenomena exists here. What does it mean? It is possible that, for example, this was the previous, where no one subscribes. But it is possible that the first block doesn't subscribe, all these people here doesn't subscribe, and they match among each other, right? And the second block of people now subscribes, and as you see, when they subscribe, their acceptance decision changed from 0.8 to 0.48. They started to accept more somehow. And well, all of them search in the platform. Well, they can by chance find each other in a restaurant. It is a possibility, but this is what. So the standards, now there are coordination issues, right? The only thing here critical is the entire block has the same subscription decision. And this is what we find. So there is the block segregation, but there are multiple equilibria, and all the equilibria can be characterized by the fact that the blocks agree on their subscription. There is this first block. They subscribe like this, or they don't subscribe like in these two equilibria. If they decide to subscribe, there is an equilibria where second block also subscribes and determines their threshold like this, all of them, or or the second block decides to not subscribe and determines the threshold like this. So this is when what happens. The unique equilibrium becomes multiple, and this multiplicity is characterized on the board, right? We are showing 4 equilibria for an example that we didn't discuss yet. These are the equilibria in this example. And in general, for any search equilibrium, the necessary condition, so if sigma f is an equilibrium, we don't know if such an f exists yet, but if it exists, if this is an equilibrium, it induces a block segregation, which means there are blocks, as in the no platform case, but all these blocks, each block should, so if you are 2 people in the block, either both of you subscribe or you don't subscribe. So this is the only possible equilibrium we have. And also, it can never be the case because in the block segregation without platform, if there is no platform, no price at all, there are finitely many blocks. Infinitely many blocks, decreasing in size when you go to 0. But here, there are still infinitely many blocks, but only finitely many of them can subscribe, because eventually you come close to 0, and for those people, they can match because within their block only, their expected payoff is very close to 0. For many prices, they won't be anyway pay this price. So only finitely many of them can subscribe. Then what we show is the other part of this theorem, which is, so let T be a subscription decision sequence. What does it mean? So we already showed here some subscription sequences, right? 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 until infinity. This is a subscription sequence. 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 here. These are subscription sequences, which tells you T1 is we know that there is going to be a first block, definitely. Will this block of people subscribe or not? T1 is 0, they don't subscribe. T1 is 1, they subscribe. And this, take any such sequence, such that there are only finitely many ones that subscribe, right? So there can be the first 100 of them subscribe, until 1,000 do not subscribe, 1,001 subscribe, until 10,000 do not subscribe, and some ones after them. Take any such sequence. Then you can find some positive price that a stationary equilibrium exists and justifies, and you can find blocks. I mean, the boundaries of the blocks are endogenously determined together with F, but what it says is, whatever you can imagine as an equilibrium here in terms of 1, 1, 0, zeros with finitely many ones, you can find the boundaries will change, but you can find an equilibrium. You can find the price for which this is an equilibrium. which can say that you can indeed observe many awkward equilibria, that highest like block of people, which means the people with a very high income or very high charisma, whatever, are in this platform. The mid people are not in the platform. Something above the bottom is in the platform, but the bottom are not in the platform. You can observe this kind of phenomena. That is what the theorem says. And any such coordination phenomena you can observe. And we prove this theorem. Indeed, Smith in 2001 proved this existent theorem in a transferable utility environment. And I mean, from what we read in the literature, and this is a top 5 journal, and for 5 years, no one could prove it. Like, this was an open question for general, without the platform, but more general preferences. Is it the existence there? And eventually using, I guess, Schauder's fixed point theorem, eventually 5 years later, they were able to find the result and they proved it. It took them a long time to prove it because the transferable utility, everything is continuous. It's easier to prove things, but this is a non-transferable utility setting, and the existence theorem is not trivial to prove. And here, well, preference-wise, we are on the Berdaton-Coles models, like Pisa's values, a narrower domain, but we have 2 environments. Because of the 2 environments, this inductive proof, we are still not sure, sorry, Smith's proof can be used here or not, but our inductive proof, we can use an inductive proof, indeed, because of our characterization, and it helps us easily calculate equilibria in this proof. Because I have 12 minutes, I will not go into the details, but what we discover is indeed, one more thing I did. So for each block, because there will be this unmatched distribution that is going to be determined, right? We don't know the distribution. The size of the people who are searching, and the size of the people who are matched also, G minus F. We don't know them yet. This proof also helps us to understand what does it look like. And it's a constant of the constant multiplier of the population for each block. And this is apparent in the, so this just shows part of the proof that such a first block exists, and then finding the existing threshold for the first block, starting from this point, we can find another second block, and then, but I will show you the picture. Where is our picture about the, So indeed, for this example here, this is uniform, right? This is, as you guessed, in the platform 20 times faster somehow to match. So this rate is much higher, and rho is 0.5. It's just a scalar. So we see that these are indeed equilibria in this specific problem. We calculated 4. We cannot make sure if there are no more, but seemingly there are no more equilibria. Here we see that the next word externalities need to lead to multiplicity. And each population, each equilibrium has a separate distribution of singles. This shows only the strategies. This doesn't show the who are single, how many people from which type is single in the market yet. And subscription can make a block better off or worse off. Look, if this block doesn't, so given that the first block of people doesn't subscribe, if this block, the people in the second block coordinates on subscribing, we jump from this equilibrium to this equilibrium. And indeed, this threshold is their value in equilibrium. So which means by subscribing, coordinating on subscribing, their value in equilibrium dropped from 0.8 to 0.46. So you can, this is what it is, right? You can think that, hey, friends, let's go to, I don't know, let's subscribe to Tinder and we can find each other there. Not friends, of course, many millions of people. And, well, you can still have, I mean, this may be an equilibrium for you, but it would have been better if you didn't coordinate on subscribing because your payoff was higher there. So this is one of the things we get there from this coordination issues. And another thing is we can, so this is one thing we didn't see in the other papers. I mean, by the help of our proof, we can calculate the unmatched type distribution. So think of it, if this box was full with blue, right, it means that all the people were unmatched. For the types between 0.545 and 1. Now, it says that no, only 10% almost of it, these are unmatched people. This is the area. And these are the matched people. And in the second block, these are unmatched people. Ratio of singles, right? These are matched people, these are unmatched people. And here the unmatched people are like this. So we see that it is getting fatter and fatter, like when we go to the lower types. The reason is that these people, one of the reasons, these people are subscribing and they are receiving, instead of 10 times something, 210 times, like not effectively the same, but much higher contacts, which means matching rate is higher. When matching rate is higher, more people are matched. So more people are white here matched. Some of the people are not matched for the higher types among in this box. But when you go to the lower, you see just the reverse. And indeed, this is just another, like this is the entire like uniform distribution between 0 and 1. So for the higher types, these are the people who are matched. And these are the people at each time, this is the size of the people, this area, who are searching, right? So, and network externalities. Okay, two quick things. I have 6 minutes, I believe. So I want to go over. So two effects. I won't go into the details of the proposition, but the idea, because the proposition is representing an idea. Because of the multiplicity, it is hard to nicely write a general proposition, but the effect is there for many cases. We just write a specific case here. So the idea is this. Okay, I'm a platform. Now we consider just the case that, because up to now it was existence and characterization. Now, I have a price and I have some subscribers. What happens if I increase the price? Right? Or what happens if I decrease the price? That is the question, the demand for subscription. When I increase the price, the demand can increase. And the reason is that, interestingly, here, the top 2 blocks subscribe, for example, right? And the other 2 blocks doesn't subscribe. And even if they want to, I mean, they may not subscribe because of 2 reasons. there could be an equilibrium where top 2 block subscribes and third block also subscribes for the same price. So they just could have coordinated to not subscribe. That is one reason. The second reason is, well, at this price, even if everybody wrongly coordinates, I would stay outside if I'm in the third block. So subscription is dominated by not subscription because the price is high. That could be the situation. It depends on the price. So suppose I'm in the second case. So this is the maximal amount of people who can potentially coordinate on, because the equilibrium comes from coordination. Suppose the maximal society subscribes, which is the first block and the second block. What can happen is that you increase the price, and the increased price increases the search cost, right? What happens if your search cost increase? You become, because if the cost is less, you have the luxury to wait, right? And search a little bit more. If the cost becomes higher, so it is giving too high, like compared to outside, it is 10, 220 times more contacts, right? At the moment, if they are the same set. And everyone subscribe, yes. But if the price goes higher, you say like, oh, it is giving a lot of contacts, but I should choose someone immediately because the price is getting higher, right? If the price goes so high, you become less, you don't have the luxury to wait and search too much. Which means if the price increases, this happens. These people lower their threshold. Indeed, for all these people, their equilibrium payoff is equal to this in equilibrium. That is what we show. And that is well known. But if you increase the price, these people say, instead of 545, we are going to choose even someone with 0.045, which lowers their value by 0.1. So they become worse off. But still, it is more reasonable to lower their threshold. And these guys lowers their threshold. So what happens? These things shrink a little bit, but the set of types increases. The net effect is, so you increase the price, the net effect is positive. So this population change, the blue area. So when you increase the price, these thresholds change. The blue area shrinks a little bit here, shrinks a little bit here, but because some types come from here, like this goes down and this continues a little bit more, the net effect is positive, and an increased price may increase the demand. So if you are a platform, roughly it says that it is critical to understand the group of people you are with. You can create an network externality effect and enjoy even more profit by increasing the price. But it could be the case that these guys are on the boundary, and when you increase the price, this goes down, and for these people, it is never optimal to, and then your demand decreases. It is also a possibility. So if you're a platform, you need to understand the group of people who are coordinating to. So this is the demand indeed. This is what happens. You increase the price, right? Top 2 blocks expand. At some point, for the second block, it is not optimal anymore to subscribe. Now it immediately drops because only block 1 continues to subscribe. You lose the second block. But then second block starts to extend when you increase the price. And then you lose the first block again. So locally increasing price phenomena you have. For a similar, because of a similar source, I won't go into the details, but think about this. You are Tinder Mamba, I don't know. You show, so these apps work like this. They show daily, for example, maximum number of 100 or 1,000 depending on the price you pay. People. So can they show you more? Do they have the technology? Yes. Do they prefer to? That is the question, right? The platform can have the technology to decrease the search friction as much as possible. For example, this platform, for this platform, it would be possible to increase the contacts technology, I mean, feasibility constraint. Maximum, maybe 250 was possible for them. But it could be the case that not using the frontier of technology, instead of that, pushing it a little bit back and providing 200 to people could be better, increasing the search frictions. That is what we proved there. And the same similar network externalities is the source of this. So as the platform, you don't need to use, it is not optimal for you to always use the frontier technology. You can a little bit cut from your potential technology and increase your profit. So the demand is increased, at least. That is, but I mean, to go into the profit maximization problem, it is, even if we don't have these coordination issues here, this is still problematic, because the platform needs to solve integer problem. No, with this coordination issue, it needs to solve a integer problem, right? Because it needs to consider all the cases, right? Like, this is this binary sequence. Which guys are going to... so you see here only the type, which types, here these types, blue types, here these blue types, here these blue types. But it doesn't tell you the demand, right? You need to understand which portion of it is unmatched distribution. And from equilibrium to equilibrium, this F, effectively this part of the distribution changes. And you need to calculate and solve an integer problem. So it is a hard question to work on profit maximizing issues here. I will jump to conclusion with it. Just one thing is open questions for future work. Yes, I mean, we had this, that was a good question. We had this idea of divorce rates. I mean, micro-founding divorce rates is an interesting question. We still think that learning would be nice there, as I explained. We will try to generalize our model. Of course, I mean, if this binary sequence idea still generalizes, we don't know, because this block segregation phenomena, I mean, in the very general preferences, still ordinally common, but cardinally different preferences. It may not continue to hold. We don't have the entire intuition. We have an intuition of what they could look like potentially, but we need to go into details. And this is a rough idea to, I mean, we didn't deal with transferable utility framework yet, and labor market. So these things could be, I mean, this F would be there saying unmatched people, which means unemployment rate. Singles ratio becomes unemployment rate there, right? This is what we are talking about. So we need to go into and work on transferable utility setting for that. But this is further research agenda. So currently we have the characterization of the equilibrium and the existence of the equilibrium, and we can calculate things by the help of the proof, and we also see some interesting effects in terms of demand, how demand is determined by price and the technology mu-s that the platform provides. So this is all. Do you have any further questions?
Thank you, Эмре.
Yeah.
Ну, вопросы какие-нибудь к докладчику?
Is it possible to observe your block structure in some reality?
Again, block?
Block structure, is it possible to observe it in a reality?
Well, this discontinuous blocks in terms of, so, for example, in Tinder, there are, of course, because Pizza's values is a restrictive preference. This is hard to observe that, I mean, put people on a scale and talk about Pizza's value. Though when Tinder is matching people, they have a scale for people from the information they gather when people search for each other. But, for example, they have this scale of income, right? The top 20 is, I don't remember exactly top which part, but not very much subscribing to Tinder. So they are not, you can think them as not subscribing to Tinder. Then from the maybe 80th percentile or 70th percentile, this is in US or it was a worldwide? It was US. Then they start to subscribe and highly subscribe to some income, like interval of income of people. And then the bottom people do not subscribe as well. So there are these kind of block phenomena. And in terms of ages also, but because it is hard to observe exactly the Pizza's values, but in terms of different scale, if you put it in terms of age and if you put it in terms of income, you see a similar phenomena.
It would be interesting to describe it as an example.
Yeah. I mean, it should have been, I should have put it right. You're right. Thank you.
If I understand correctly, that all your participants have the same pieces value.
Again, all the subscribers.
If I understand correctly, that all your participants have the same pieces value.
No, they don't have the same pieces value. They, for example, let me go to this.
I mean the order is the same.
Отрезок от 0 до единицы, конечно, порядок с отрезка берется. В этом смысле, да.
Но порядочнее.
Это просто отрезок от 0 до единицы с обычным порядком. Вот эти pizza value, это принимает значение из отрезка.
Нет, я понимаю, да, это ясно. I mean the order of pieces value is the same for participants.
The ordinal ordering of people is the same. Ordinal ordering, so everyone ordinally orders the other gender of people the same. And not only ordinally, but also cardinally. So that is Pizza's values, right? Specifically.
This is very restricted.
In reality, we'll have
yeah, maybe just this is one thing we want to do. We want to generalize it. So let me show you one graph. So this bar, if you remember, so it was only showing one man side or woman side because they are symmetric. This is, let's say X is the men or set of men. This is the set of women, right? And which means man one, agent one accepts, this is from a paper below Hanrider, anything below 0.5 and 1, right? And anybody between 0.5 and 1 also accepts have the same threshold.
Yeah.
So, and same for the other side. So this is another representation of the same block segregation phenomenon, right? In terms of acceptance set. Now, this area is the top block here. All people here match all people here. I show you this to show you the generalization of this to other preferences in Smith, for example. And this block segregation phenomena occurs not only for Pisa's values, even the function was xy, for example. If I'm x, you are y, we meet, and I get xy from that. So as long as it is multiplicatively separable, fx times gy, we have the Pisa's values and the block segregation. This is e to the power xy, for example, right? The payoff function. Man x and woman y meets, and they both get e to the power xy, for example. Now, the acceptance threshold monotonically decreases. See here, agent 1 accepts, say this is 0.5, right? And then agent 0.99, a threshold is lower than agent 1. So it continuously decreases. It is not that there is a block of people, everybody have the same threshold, right? It continuously decreases. So what we think is maybe there are, if it is true that there are still somehow, because of subscription, there is blocks, it could be like there's a block of people, this shape is like there, these are subscribers, but when they are not subscribers, this graph shifts and the curvature changes. And then this graph shifts and the curvature changes. Now, we have that something like that could be possible in a more general preference. We are not sure. We need to look into that in more detail. But I mean, even you can lose monotonicity with more and more general preference, right? I mean, different kind of preferences. You see here, agent 1 accepts something of this value, 0.1, say, agent 1, right? The best guy. But some lower type has a more higher acceptance value threshold. So I'm a lower type, but my threshold is higher. It is also possible, interestingly. When preferences are, I mean, you go to general preferences, even still you keep supermodularity. You see here the example. It is for different classes of function. I mean, probably it would be the case that not for all interesting. I mean, for all functions you can characterize something, but for different supermodular, log supermodular, log, this is log submodular, for example, right? So different classes of functions you can, it is possible, not for this function for this graph, but for the function on this graph. And in this class, log supermodular functions, for example, there is a potentially way that we can. So this is the idea about the preferences.
Еще вопросы?
Well, I think that the last two claims in your talk are counterintuitive. You said that if the price raw raises, then the demand also raises. And the second is that when the services increase, mu s increases, then the demand drops.
Right.
These two claims are counterintuitive if we think in terms of market economy. Can you illustrate them by some real life example? And then this is because I don't understand the role of raw. Because if you say that they have, the participants have infinite amount of money, then there is no restriction.
Well, basically, if you are operating on the, I mean, demand function is and profit maximizing price. It may not hold at the profit max. It would not hold at the profit maximizing price.
What do you mean by profit? If I have infinite amount of money, then there is no.
No. For the firm, I'm looking for the demand, but your demand is about
demand for a subscription. I mean,
even if you have infinite amount of money, it doesn't. All the quasi-linear models have, and all the transferable utility models. I mean, if you don't specifically impose income, and many of them doesn't, you don't. All of them assume infinite pocket. I mean, deep pockets, infinite money. You just compare. Is it better to go in and participate and pay the price? So you have the cash here ready.
Yes.
If the cost, if the benefit is greater than cost, you will pay. But it is possible that even if you have the cash ready here, it is not beneficial for you, right? It doesn't.
So can you explain this phenomenon? For example, with price, the price raises, the demand raises.
Yeah. Okay.
By some real life example.
What do you have?
Well, we don't have an empirical example for that. But the mechanism here works through coordination, right? In a sense. So the idea could be that, let's say, Tinder starts charging. So currently it is a freemium platform, meaning that it has zero price for the basic services, right? And suppose that the Tinder starts increasing its subscription price to, I don't know, 50 cents or, $1 or €1 or whatever, right? And here the mechanism basically tells that because of this increase in the price, right, the people who would already think to subscribe to the platform, right, become a bit less patient, right? So, and they would actually start accepting people that they wouldn't accept before, right? And so in a sense...
But why?
Because
they have to pay what they don't care. We pay and...
no, but sure, but I mean...
We can survive for a long time there.
No, I mean, they don't have any income constraint, but still, they value money. They could, spend it somewhere else. And the more they stay on the platform, the more they pay for the subscription. And so if the price for subscription increases, they become a bit more impatient to find someone. Of course, it is...
Not if they are so rich.
No,
sure. I mean,
course.
the effect could be negligible, maybe. So it could be one of the empirical challenges here, because if the price increases only, let's say $1 per month or something, right, and it may not have any observable effect, possibly, right? But that's basically what our model, predicts here. So if there is a significant price increase, for example, right, without changing the profile of subscription, it might have actually this this positive effect on the demand. Whether or not this is empirically observable or testable, or whether we would actually observe this if we had the data, was of course a separate question. But
but in other
network
externalities,
so
phenomenon is...
If I understand correctly, the essence of the effect is as following: I pay for the better chance to meet better people.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is the essence.
And you pay for that,
yeah.
But and the platform gives you the opportunity to meet very good people. And suppose this is the case, right? Let me go to this specific example. And the platform, it was 10 to 200. The platform increases the chances by 200. And the set of people, all you want...
By 20.
By 20, sorry. This is the first block, right? And suppose this doesn't subscribe. Okay, consider such an example. It is 0. Suppose this is 0. These people do not subscribe. So for these people, the only important thing is will these people subscribe or not? And they all subscribe. So which means they can see each other 20 times faster. If the platform increases the price, it's still good to be in the platform, but because this boundary threshold they choose endogenously changing, which is they see the price and they think that, okay, at this price, if my search value decreased. So what happens if price increase? This search value decreases. So now people who are a bit lower than your thresholds become acceptable. You say, okay, if they subscribe, I will accept them also. Still better than being out. But this, in effect, expand the set of types. This shrinks the unmatched people.
Yes, in your model, but it isn't clear whether this happens really.
I see, yes, your point, yes.
Ну, представь себе, что
Network.
есть два ресторана.
Да.
Я знаю, что в одном ресторане цены выше, но зато там люди изысканные, те люди, которым я хотел бы там.
Наоборот, он говорит об обратном эффекте, что он понижает свой порог. He lowers your threshold.
Нет, в данном случае, так сказать, разница в цене может быть и не такая большая. Вы правы, что здесь надо учитывать.
Нет, он говорит о противоположном эффекте. Он говорит о противоположном эффекте. Этого нет в модели. Так же, как он говорит, что если... You say also that if sigma s, mu s increases, then also the demand
Could
decreases,
Mhm.
which is also unexpected.
Yeah, so
Если больше ему предлагают смотреть,
It
то спрос уменьшится.
It is just the opposite effect. If you now say that instead of 200, for example, let me exaggerate. But of course, some other people can come in, some other blocks can come in. So suppose the blocks are 1000. This is a high-end platform. Okay, let me tell you this kind of story. This is a very high-end platform. It charges a very high price, but it brings all the top people, very rich, I don't know, people into society.
But they all are the same. All the people are the same here.
They are not the same. They are not the same. They are a group of people from 0.9 to 1, for example. 0.9 to 1.
But
But they all,
it's values. It isn't the richness.
but yeah, but you can think about it as richness also. Simplify the term, richness, right?
Okay.
These all the rich people from a range, and this platform tells you that it is going to increase the rate. What happens? Increase the rate of the match, but it is bringing it together, and it increases also the chance of seeing much more people from here. But you also meet with some other people outside, right? But these people, it increases the rate. Then you see that you think that it is more guaranteed to see people from here in a very short range. So you stop you say that, okay, I will, for example, I was accepting 0.9. Now I'm not accepting 0.9 because I know that I'm going to very fastly quickly see people. You say that, okay, I'm going to accept 0.92.
Why? There is no hurry because you live indefinitely.
Спасибо. Я думаю, что пора заканчивать, потому что времени уже много, и поэтому thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. I think that the effect you observe, that demand increasing coexist with price increasing is very, very, very interesting effect. It's unusual. To some extent, it's similar to network
Network external. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It would be very interesting to also to observe in reality the block structure, to describe and describe it in the paper.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot. И я объявляю тему следующего семинара. Значит, во-первых, английский объявляю. Значит, 15 апреля у нас семинара не будет. Ну, потому что там ясельская конференция, и часть участников могут в ней участвовать. 22 апреля выступает Андрей Леонидов вместе со своими сотрудниками Васильевым и Васильевой, мы слышали их не раз. И тема «Структура статических равновесий в двухслойной игре Изинга». Ну, вот это такая, значит, задача, где у нас имеется, значит, многоуровневая сеть, так называемая. Ну, и вот в рамках этой сети рассматривается, так сказать, равновесие, они оказываются несколько необычными. Я думаю, что будет интересно. Приходите. Спасибо всем. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your participation as well. Итак, до следующего семинара. Всего доброго.